Oh, yeah. It should be always on.
I was a little shocked to see Jeff Howe's not running again.
Just retiring or?
Hmm?
It should be always on, I'm not sure, let me see here. Well, we'll try it in a second here.
If not, you can just loudly yell slide whenever you're ready, and I'll.
Try changing the slide arrow left or right. Then I can grab a battery quick.
So I had to do a presentation with CEO of General Mills.
Okay.
And he was doing the presentation. And he couldn't figure out how to clicker worked fine. He couldn't figure out how to do it. And so I had to sit in the front row. And he said, you just sit up there. I'll give you a signal when to change
Yeah,
the
it's
slide.
6 o'clock.
And so I sat up there and I couldn't doze off at all.
No, now you've got to pay
The
attention.
signal was, that was it. And I would get ahead of him and behind him and then he'd frown and then, I mean, it's crazy.
All right. Let's try this. If it's not working, I'll have to get the other one I have at home, but.
Can you just give him the mouse?
Oh,
Did you not have it turned on? Oh. Let's plug in the receiver.
here, I don't need my mouse then. I think it'll make a difference now.
Perfect.
Okay, left, left, right, right.
Megan, come.
Yeah, are we expecting Megan?
I haven't heard otherwise.
Okay, I saw a car pull up just a minute ago, so I'll give her a second.
It's only 6.
Oh, you did say 6:02 now.
Oh, it is 6, yeah, we gotta get started.
We'll get started. Like I said, I saw a car, saw headlights, so if it's Megan, we'll give her just a second. It's a light agenda, I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
Not Megan. All right, so it's 6:02. We'll call our meeting to order and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance. All right, starting with our activity reports, I apologize that I wasn't able to make our last meeting. I was heading back from a court hearing in Duluth, and just laws of physics mandate that I couldn't make it back here on time. But otherwise, we did public works interviews. I think we've got some candidates, later on the agenda to talk about that. We also did the final tour of the manufacturing month at the brewery. It was a great experience, talking about all the things they've got going on out there and the things they're doing. Thank you to all of the manufacturers that worked with us last month on the manufacturing tours. That's, I think, always a great success, and I always learned something about what we have here in Painesville. That's all I've got, so I'll turn it down to Paul. with his
All I had
fancy new
was the
computer.
planning board meeting last Monday.
Okay.
And helping move the liquor store.
Oh, yes, and moving the liquor store. If you haven't been out there, it's nice. I could not believe at the soft open how all of the product that was in there, and none of it was new stuff. It was things that were crammed into the back of the old store. So, Megan, are you ready? Do you need a second?
I'm fine, thank
Okay.
you. I apologize for being late. I thought I could squeeze in one last errand and I could not, so.
Never forget.
I had the library meeting, where the architects were here, so that was very interesting. And then I had the policies and procedures as well. And I think
Great.
that's it.
Neil,
I had absolutely nothing.
Donna, you're usually our hardest worker. This is a shock.
I
Went
need
to the,
a break.
Just went to the soft opening of the liquor store. It's a nice new building.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay, our department head reports. Dan?
Unfortunately, the Public Works Department didn't get to help as much with the soft opening or the liquor store opening as we wanted to because we were busy working, getting all of our trucks ready for the oncoming winter. We hope everybody's understanding that this is gonna be our first snowplow of the year, and we're gonna be shorthanded because Lee is traveling out of town, and that leaves Bob, myself, and
Brad.
Brad. So we're gonna be a little short. Hopefully we get some people tonight to start filling in as best we can. Christmas lights, I think the guys got the last of them up today. Hopefully they're all working and good to go. And we're just kind of watching the weather and hoping for the best.
I noticed, I think I talked to you and Tarek about it when we were doing the Public Works interviews. There's a little bit of water damage up here. Is that going to be fixed by the contractors that did the roof?
Contractor was here, he's got it all measured out. He gave the guy the contractor called, he gave him his quotes and estimates, so he's supposed to be getting back to me and getting this taken care of.
Okay,
But I did walk through them with everything.
good deal. Any questions for Dan? Tarek?
All right, we had the planning meeting. We talked about a change in the ordinance for downtown housing. And the board made its recommendation, which should be coming to you soon. Ad hoc library meeting, as Megan mentioned, but also there was the Great River Regional Library meeting where Steve Peterson and I went to kind of present them with the plan so far. And, you know, they approved it and they thought it was looking really good. We also had the policies and procedure meeting, as you know, and finally, on the new liquor store you mentioned, I think most of you were there, but I did get an update from Bill, and sales are already better, or not better, but, well, yeah, higher than they are usually, but also I think what I'd like to hear is a lot of new faces, a lot of new people in there too, so that's good.
To piggyback off what you just said, Tarek, about the library, I got an email today from Brandy Cantor, who's the new executive director at Great River, who shared, I hope Tarek shared with you how enthusiastic the Great River trustees were to approve the library project. They were really impressed. Tarek and Steve did a great job presenting information about the project. So,
Okay, good.
I think it was not just that they approved it, I think they were.
They're excited, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, any questions for Tarek? Moving on, is there anybody here for our open forum? If so, I'd appreciate if you could raise your hand or step to the podium. Cool. Moving on then, because I'm not seeing anyone. The consent agenda includes the minutes on page 1, along with the vouchers on page 2, totaling $296,292.79. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, or does anybody want something pulled?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brick, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Hersberg. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, Tarek, on the MIF agreement with Lewis Industries.
Yeah, MIF is the Minnesota Investment Fund. It's a deed program. DEED is the Department of Employment and Economic Development in St. Paul. And it's a state agency that supports businesses through grants and different kinds of loans. This is a MIF grant. The way it works is they grant the money, or they give the money to the city, and the city manages the loan and the loan repayment. I guess the incentive for the city to do it is that when they repay the loan, 40% of the repayment amount, or up to $100,000, gets to be put in the city's own EDAP revolving loan fund for future use. So that's kind of our incentive and reward for doing it. So this is the loan document that we need to sign. We are considered the lender in this, but we are getting the money from DEED, and Lewis Industries is repaying the money to us. And as I mentioned, we keep 40% of that for our revolving loan fund, up to $100,000.
Okay. There's no discussion. I'd entertain a motion to approve the loan agreement.
I'll make the motion to approve the MIF loan agreement between the city of Painesville and Lewis Industries.
There's a motion by Hersberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Thielen. Any further discussion? So this is part of that project that we've been discussing for quite a while, so I think we're all familiar with it at this point. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right. Tarek or Dan on the trail extension agreement.
Well, yeah, since Chuck's not here, I can get a brief update on it. This is the trail extension that we did from Highway 55, kind of by Wilglow, all the way up to Bork Lumber. That section is complete. And this is payment 3, which is, from what I heard from Chuck, is not the final payment. The final payment most likely will be in the spring because they're supposed to sod it, and a few other cosmetic, landscaping things to the trail. However, I think 100% of this, the cost of this trail will be covered by the grant, so it's looking pretty good.
So we should expect one more, probably just a touch-up one, but
One more, we might get one more plus one more in the spring, but they'll be smaller amounts.
if there's no discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve the pay estimate.
I'll move to approve payment estimate number 3 in the amount of $26,089.38 payable to Land Pride Construction.
There's a motion by Brick. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Potter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And we'll just note, just because I've had a couple people grab agendas, if we don't have enough and you want one, let us know and we'll run some more copies. So it's not a problem. We just only put so many out there.
I got an extra copy here.
Okay. And then we've got 2026 funding request and a discussion from the Coronas Lake Association. And Kevin Farnham is here to talk to us. If you wouldn't mind taking the podium so we can hear you.
And you're ready to click away, by the way. It should work.
What's that?
It should work.
Oh,
I'm hoping.
oh, yeah, I'm sure. And Joe Burdock is going to join me, if that's all right.
Yep.
Joe is, well, both of us are on the KLA board. So first, thanks for letting us come, giving us some time and stuff to talk. And I just want to be sure that, absolutely be sure, I want to thank you, the Painesville City Council, for supporting KLA in the past. We've had great partnerships and relationships. You've supported us in our quest to, prevent or slow down the spread of aquatic invasive species in Lake Coronas. And you've been right there by our side over at Veterans Park, so we appreciate that. And we appreciate the support we have for the fireworks. It's sometimes hard to get fireworks here, and we've been able to be, knock on wood, be able to be successful, and we're set up for next year. And I'll talk about that. I want to be sure that tonight we'll address some of the things that hopefully you want to hear about the Lake Association. And we'll talk a little bit about, we're going to go through and talk a little bit about kind of what we do and stuff. But I want to be sure that you get a chance to see what our mission is, just so that you're on board, is, to promote and maintain the environmental, economic, and recreational protection of Lake Coronas and vicinity to enhance the quality of life for all residents and visitors. Our membership is open to anybody. We have members, it's not only just around the lake, but it's also, there's a fair amount of city members, there's a fair amount of members that just kind of care about Lake Coronas, and they're not always here, but they're here, if that makes any sense at all. So, go ahead, Joe.
Again, I'm Joe Burbach. I haven't had the chance to meet all of you, but nice to meet you, at least in one direction at this point. So the big question here is, why does KLA's work, specifically things tied to the 4th of July, matter to the City Council for the City of Painesville? In just looking at this conversation we're going to have today, I was doing a little bit of research, and you've probably heard of the term gateway community. It's something that Explore Minnesota uses, as well as the University of Minnesota. And they use that term to talk about places like the City of Painesville. And the logic is simple. The lake is the attraction, but the city is the service center. So visitors can't buy gas, they can't buy ice, they can't go to the new liquor store on the lake, and they have to come in for dinner. So they come into town. And their research has shown that there's something called an event tourism multiplier. And that, again, is from Explore Minnesota and the U of M Tourism Center. But what that has studied is the impact of visitors to the city that adjoins such an attraction. One of those factoids is 23% of all spending goes directly to food and beverage. Now, the fireworks that we're talking about, they serve as an anchor event for this spending. If you take a conservative estimate that the event draws 2,000 people to the area here, each person spending $20, which is probably a pretty good deal if you think about food and alcohol and everything else that you might spend in getting it ready for the 4th of July. 2,000 people times $20, that's $40,000 immediate injection into local businesses in the city of Paynesville. It creates a Black Friday level of business for local restaurants and retailers. Now, my background is in marketing. We look at ROI. So it's a pretty good ROI for $40,000 back, whatever we would like to invest in it up to that point. Another consideration, and there's 3 here that Explore Minnesota looked at, is property values and tax base. Events like fireworks and the water quality, they increase real estate values. Real estate values are, of course, tied to property taxes, and property taxes are tied to dollars that come for education, other services that the township, those homes on the lake that the township shares with the city. So these events and the care of the lake in general with KLA, you know, really are tied to that economic viability of those property values. And then the third one, again, a marketing term, loyalty. With the 4th of July, it's really something that we call tradition tourism. I looked back at the old Pioneer, or excuse me, not Pioneer Press, Paynesville Press records, and there's records of 4th of July parties, fireworks, events, all the way back to 1898. That consistency, and with the exception of Kevin, probably not many people were at that first one in 1898. The consistency creates something called tradition tourism. Families plan their reunions and vacations around that date because they know the fireworks are going to happen. That guarantee of recurring annual traffic and financial influx is something that the other weekends of the summer simply don't have. And it's really something that I think is worth supporting and protecting. So, you know, if you just wanted a headline, you know, the lake belongs to the people, the residents around here, but the city and the township really reap the economic reward of that. Together, we're the full package making that happen.
So give you an idea kind of quickly of what we do. So the Lake Association, you know, there was several key things that we worry about. Runoff was one, aquatic invasive species. We worry about that. We worry about water quality, and we got to fund it all. So we got to figure out how to do that. And I'll go through real quick. Runoff, sure. We're involved with a project right now on the south side of the lake. Not sure what the value is, but it's going to be a big deal. There's been a delta building up over on the west arm on the south side of the lake for years and years. Actually, what I found out in talking with Lynn Jacobson is this project was started to be worked on with her husband well over 20 years ago to try to get it done. And they broke ground this week, finally. So there is an end. And I want to give Ken Hess a shout out because Ken is the one that has spearheaded this and gone through, and he's not even on the board anymore. And he said, no, I'm going to see this project through. So we do that. That's in the works. That's going to be a big deal for the lake. We support projects. We have a kind of a schedule. So if someone comes to us with a project for their shoreline or runoff or something, we've supported it, and we've even supported projects up the river on the other side of Rice Lake, because we figure anything that comes down the river, it goes to Rice Lake first, but it comes to us next. So we've even contributed. We're in good partners with Soil and Water. Soil and Water actually has told people, hey, they have a formula of 75%, 25%. You know, they pay 75 if they got the funds, and 25% comes out from that owner. And they just tell them, go talk to Coronas, the Lake Association, and see if there's anything that they can do to help. And we do, and we have. We're always looking for phosphorus reduction projects. We had submitted a project to LCCMR. It didn't get approved, but we submitted it. We hired someone to do it. So we're looking for projects like that to do that. When it comes to aquatic invasive species, we do, any report that you want to see is either on our website, and if it's not, call me because it's too big to be on the website. We have maps, we have probably more data. What I've been told is we have more data on treatment of starry stonewort than probably any place in the United States, which would be the world. Because we've treated it like a major science project. So we have before and after, always trying to demonstrate, are we doing the right thing? Have we hurt the lake? Have we hurt the natives? And we're always looking at it. And we have a pretty good sized budget on that, and I'll get to where that money comes from that pays for that. We have a boat inspection program, which you'd been a part of in the past. And we do that at the three major launches on the lake, the regional park, Veterans, Your Landing, and over at the Highway 55 access. And part of the other thing we do for the aquatic invasives is we find funding. I go out typically, and sometimes Dick Johnson will come with me, and we'll go beat the bush on where we get the funding. So we get funding for any of our aquatic invasive species from, originally we started out with a grant from the Legacy Foundation. We end up with grants from the Stearns Coalition, the Stearns County AIS Committee. I chair that committee, but I don't vote, so I don't get a say on that. We get grants from DNR, so we're always out looking for funding to help with that project. Meeker County, and we get money also for AIS from Union Grove Township, and we get, and by the way, they just to let you know, a lesson for you guys, at their annual meeting, they serve cookies and milk. Just want to let you know. Take a note of that. You know, and then we share our knowledge. I've been invited to do speak out in Michigan, and I know that our data and stuff is being presented at meetings all around the United States, at AIS meetings and stuff, to share what we've learned in that area. So we have good leadership roles, and again, in Stearns County, in an organization called the Minnesota Coalition of Lake Associations, as well as we work well with MACERC. We have projects from universities going on in Lake Cronus almost every year, where they come in, they want a massive amount of starry stonewort to work on projects. And so we're always part of that as well.
So continuing in on the topic of what it is that we do, let's look at education. So the way we look at it is we serve as the central nervous system for the lake community. You know, that happens through our newsletters, occasional columns in the paper, not just sharing dates. We're looking at how to translate complex research. If you've looked at our most recent newsletter, we're looking at news you can use as well, how to go ahead and prepare your shoreline for autumn and winter. Safety on the ice is a topic that I'm writing right now for the next newsletter. We're looking at, of course, as Kevin mentioned, translating that complex research from our partners too, just so that you know what it actually means and have it in bite-sized nuggets. The website, if you haven't had a chance to go there, has really improved over the last couple of years, and it's a tremendous archive of everything that we've ever published, all the data, fully transparent in terms of dollars coming in. On the ground, we rely on our Ice Cream Social, and we're resurrecting our section captains. The idea is this is our connection at more of a grassroots level, making sure that information flows from the board down to specific neighborhoods and individuals who have concerns. And then Waterfest. It's a critical partnership working with the city, Dan specifically, and looking at, for example, teaching local fifth graders about the hydrologic cycle and water conservation and safety. Really trying to infuse that sense of stewardship into the next generation. Secondly, with regard to the social engagements, we've talked about the fireworks, and there's the boat parades. They're really the crown jewels of the summer. If you were to go ask folks that spend a lot of time on the lake, that live on the lake, we organize these, we fund these, and organize the funding for those and other programs, just to make sure that it continues to be a enjoyed occasion by all those who choose to partake. We also work with the Historical Society for things like the Family at the Lake Day or Pie and Ice Cream Social. We have a strong feeling that protecting its future is related closely to honoring its history. And there's just so much history in this community. A lot of that revolves around the lake, so tying those things together just makes logical sense. And then to do all this, as Kevin mentioned, we're developing funding. We've evolved long and far past just membership dues. We now have a pretty sophisticated financial ecosystem with the charitable gambling, of which our folks on the board help manage. Now, with very little exception, you know, we're all volunteers, and these folks are going out and spending hours and hours every week to make sure all of this happens, all of these events that we have, all of Kevin's work. And, you know, that's something that we're passionate about. We're obviously not in it to get wealthy, but we do believe that this is an important thing to do. And securing those dollars really is what makes that possible. So again, as a headline for how to think about what we do, we try to do the heavy lifting scientifically, socially, financially, to ensure nothing gets in the way of the lake life that we all love.
So, Joe touched on a little bit of this already, but a couple things to mention is we have an incredible membership base. You know, there's probably, we figure that it's roughly about 40% are members of the shore owners, are members on Lake Coronas. It's through the membership donations that we pretty much fund many of the things. We have a watershed petition. One of the things that we were able to come up with to try and help us with funding the AIS activities is there was a section in the Minnesota statutes, 105D, that allows us to develop a watershed petition. Typically, that is used for ditches on farmland, and it's shared by the owners of the farmland that are along the ditch. They pay a tax. And so we developed a petition and stuff for the AIS usage. And all of that petition, and this was kind of a question that came up from the last meeting, is that petition money can only go towards water quality or AIS on the lake. It cannot go towards fireworks. It cannot go towards other things. Unless it could go for phosphorus reduction, that's water quality. So that's where that is locked in, and that is all handled through the watershed. I mentioned grants. We talked about the charitable fundraising, which we're doing. A huge number of volunteer hours go into that, and it's doing quite well for us. But it's kind of a separate entity. There's all kinds of rules with charitable fundraising in the state of Minnesota. And so we do that. It's going to allow us to do a couple other things that we think will help the lake overall as far as quality, and that money can go elsewhere. And then, of course, we have our local governing unit partners. So financial reports also are available on the website. So they may not always be the most current. It just takes a while to get stuff put on. So let's see. There we go. A little bit of fireworks detail for the council, because I know that was a big question last week. We actually have a kind of a policy that we follow. I mean, we always want to try and get our fireworks on the 4th, but we're competing against large cities and stuff. There's only so many fireworks companies in the state, and we're competing against them for the 4th. And that's typically what happens. But we have a pretty good connection with a company that is just kind of starting out. We had a contract. Someday, if you want to hear about last year's fireworks, I'd be glad to tell you the last minute decisions, because our contractor sold all the fireworks and folded, like 3 or 4 months before the fireworks show went off. And thanks to a connection that we were with one of the people that actually worked there, he was able to get it all pulled off. And there were a lot of towns that didn't have fireworks because this company folded kind of last minute. Not a good thing. The people we're with now are incredibly stable for fireworks. So let's just hope that we continue on. We have a good relationship. And I can tell you that our fireworks are July 3rd. That's Friday. The 4th is on a Saturday this year. Someone said we don't know when they are. Well, our president had a conversation with the person managing it for this company, and they committed that they would do it on July 3rd. So that's the Friday before. We think that's a really good date, actually. If you can't do it on the 4th, do it on the Friday before, and that'll make, Saturday will be a big deal. We figure people will be off Friday anyhow, so that'll work out well. And we fund 99% of that through our membership donations. And contributions from, would be from you, from the township, and that's how we get that done. But we coordinate all activities, including finding pontoon boats to take them out to the island, arrange with Dave Heike, thanks to Dave, to use the island and shoot the fireworks off there. It's kind of a somewhat unique situation, and it works really well. So I can answer questions on the fireworks if you'd like afterwards or whenever, and we can fill you in. It's a pretty big process. And apologize. The 1 year we shot off the fireworks at 10:30. 2 years ago when it was raining, it was the only thing we could do. We had the person in charge of the fireworks sitting in our house with the president of the Lake Association, all talking about trying to figure out what do we do, when do we shoot them off. It was in the rain. It was the safest thing for us to do. The explanation that came from us is that having them unload the fireworks once they were in the state they were in, with all the plugs, everything was in, was like asking all of his people to put their head in front of a loaded gun. And so 10:30 seemed like a good time to shoot off the fireworks. So, I mean, we got to opt for safety along the way. So anyhow, I think that's it. That's the
Yep.
last slide, Joe. You're up.
Sure. Before we take any more questions or address the fireworks a bit more, we've tried to anticipate some questions you might have already here. The last one being, how do we maintain a strong relationship moving forward? The first thought is simply include us where you need. So as we've talked about, we've evolved over the years from a social club to a pretty specialized environmental agency. We'd like to consider ourselves the city's technical arm for lake management. Whether you're looking at the potential impact of something even like a downtown street project coming up, or considering some new stormwater infrastructure, whatever it might be, bring us in. If we can't add anything, we'll tell you. But we do have the data and the history and the boots on the ground to ensure that any kind of civil planning aligns with the impact and the ecological goals that have been set forward for the lake and the watershed. We can be your subject matter experts on call whenever. Secondly, we'd like to ask that you support us when you're able. We're fighting a permanent battle against the invasive species that are there. There's a couple thousand waiting in the wings to come into the lake. And we're doing our best to keep all of them out and manage those that have already gotten in. On a different topic, while we're successful and historically have done pretty well at getting grants, sometimes we might need the city's hard power to close the deal. Your support and occasional matching funds or just funds are what helps us unlock some of the state's resources. And at times, I would anticipate that your political backing is a leverage that we could use to do our job as well. And then lastly, it's again pretty simple. You know, you're providing the authority and the structure, and the KLA provides the labor and the expertise. We want to partner with you. Neither of us can protect the lake alone, but together we're a model for the entire state, and I don't say that lightly. Let's keep the partnership strong.
Thank you, gentlemen. Before I turn to the council for questions, I'll just note a couple of things. Kevin, before the meeting, you did hand out the slideshow that we presented here, just so that those watching know. We'll have that at City Hall if anybody wants a copy. And then you also gave us 2 copies of the Aquatic Update newsletter, the June 2025 and November 2025. I presume those are on the website if anybody wants to go review them.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they both on already? Okay, yep.
I just need to make sure, because everything that the council reviews needs to be public, except for certain limited things. Anybody who wants these, they can go to the KLA website and view them there.
Thank you.
I just want to talk, I know you're here this week because of what happened at the last council meeting in terms of the vote. So that the record is clear, the Lake Association historically has not been invited to the funding request meeting that occurred at our last meeting. That's because the dollar value of the $1,500 falls within Tarek's, our city administrator's sort of discretionary spending. So the reason you weren't here is you weren't invited. Nobody told you that it was happening. Nobody asked you to come. And I know, Kevin, we talked on the phone and you certainly said I was in town and would have been there had I known. So I just want to make that clear that that was not on the Lake Association. That was just because of how things worked. I know when we talked on the phone, I sort of said, look, I fully support the fireworks stuff and I'd like to make the show bigger and better. Tarek has some ideas. He's passed me a couple of notes about using the tourism tax funds that we get and whether or not those would be an option for you to apply for and utilize as well. I think they would be great. There's a giant chunk of money just waiting to be spent there, and that brings in tourism. If you're talking 2,000 people spending money, let's bring in 3 or 4. That's where I'm at. If you don't get the $1,500, how is that going to affect things, and how would it affect things if you received more? There's my question.
So at the end of the day, because of the charitable funds that we're using, that's probably what we would do, but we, like I said, when we send out our people to, we don't have a dues structure at all. We just send out, would you like money to go if you're to the general fund? Would you like it to go for AIS? Would you like it to go to fireworks? We get an amazing amount just for fireworks. And so we're gonna be okay. We're gonna perform the best show that we can put on with what we spend on the fireworks, and we're gonna continue on to do that. We'll find the funds somewhere. The other organizations that got the money, they're good organizations. We don't want to take any money from those organizations. So we're not asking the city council to reverse any decision that they made. We're going to do it. We've already even asked to say, well, based upon your question to me, our president already has talked to them to say, well, what if we added $5,000 to it? What would that get us? And of course, the answer is always bigger and better, you know. And that's that. If there's a great desire to do that, boy, we're going to try and do that, you know. And if we have the funds to do it, we don't want to be sure though that we're not just spending money foolishly. The purpose is to help the community. The purpose is to help the city, and that's. I mean, so it's not just that we're putting on a show for ourselves. We're putting on a show for the community. So does that kind of make sense? I mean, we will look at it. I think if we can apply for that, we'll apply for some of those funds. I think that's a great idea. We didn't know they were there.
Yeah, so Tarek can reach out to you afterwards. And I have some thoughts. We'll take up the vote stuff in a couple of minutes, but anybody else on the council have
I have
questions?
a question. By owning the parks, we are, I don't know if we're members, but we do get assessed the tax that you were talking about for AIS. On AIS, what do we have in the lake? Do we have the zebra mussels now too?
Oh, we got zebra mussels. We have starry stonewort, which is the one that the petition is for, and we have a possibility that we try to manage that. The zebra mussels, there are no cures, and they just seem to get worse. We've been tracking them. If you look at our newsletters, we put a map in there of kind of where we see them at. The first year, we saw them mostly on one side, and the next year, we saw them, I know, heavy on the east side. And we kind of track where we see them, and they're now pretty much all around the lake. And there's just nothing that we can do about it. And, one of the purposes of the inspection program was to try to stop that or slow that down. We may have slowed it down by years, we don't know. Zebra mussel have been in the state for quite a while, well over 10 years. Well over 10 years. And we tried to slow it down. But at the same time, we can't give up on the inspection program because there's 5 other things coming at us. And anything that we can do to slow it down or stop it, we try and do. And we're limited by the tools that we have from DNR. Inspection is one of the tools. The laws are another tool. But all of those are if people want to follow the law, as people continue jumping from lake to lake, or it's same day, same week, all of that creates risk. And so that's what we're trying to solve with that inspection program. We've had carp in the lake, another invasive, for years. Knock on wood. Milfoil, Eurasian milfoil, we do not have yet. There's another one coming at us called hydrilla, which is not in the state yet, but it's in Wisconsin. So there's some new infestations. We try and keep track of all of that stuff that's coming at us, as do other lakes in the state. We're just watching for it. What else do we have? I think that's it.
Then my only
Curly leaf pondweed, I'm sorry. Curly leaf pondweed is another one that's considered invasive. DNR doesn't even track that one anymore. And knock on wood, curly leaf pondweed is never been a really big problem for Cronus, because you see it and it's heavy, and then it does something called senesce and it dies off. And there's only so much of it that will grow all summer long, but it dies back. And so if you can get through that first big hit, a lot of lake associations are treating for it. We've never taken on that task. Go ahead, you have another one.
If I could ask the Painesville Township, what is their contribution?
For
Fireworks.
fireworks, $2,500. I got it today.
Thank you.
Any other questions for these gentlemen?
And then the township also contributes $6,000, it's public information, $6,000 towards the inspection program. And we get, if you look in there, you'll see on the June report, you'll see the report from the watershed, because we join in on our inspection program, we join in with the watershed. And because it's a watershed problem, again, what I said, what happens up in Grove Lake, north end of the watershed, happens to Rice Lake, happens to Cronus. So we participate with that as a watershed issue. They have they have their own delegation agreement, which gives them, their inspectors, the authority to stop a launch if they find something. And because of that, I can run through it. We get, you'll see, I don't waste your time. You'll see on the back of their report, it shows exactly where the funds came from for last year for the AIS and who the contributors are. Does that help you?
Yeah, so that's on, I happened to be looking at it when you brought it up. It's page 9 of the June report.
The June report, yep.
Right. Any other questions or thoughts? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us a chance to talk, and thank you, giving us a chance to thank you for being our partner for all these many years. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for coming here.
From what I'm seeing on the agenda, it did not pass because.
Hold on.
Okay, that's
If you could-
getting there.
Can you put a pin in it for 1 second?
I'm not known for doing that, Sean, but I'll.
I know,
try
no,
this.
I saw the notes here from admin regarding the vote that was taken at the last meeting. I also took a few minutes to review our bylaws. So the council bylaws, I'm looking at section 9, subparts D and E. Subpart E requires for a motion to pass, it must be a majority of the quorum present. So at the last meeting, there were 4 members present, would have required at least 3 votes to pass. There's also, on subpart D, administration can request a roll call vote if the voice vote was unclear. So I look at this, and I guess as the presiding officer, my review of the bylaws says that the motion neither passed nor did not pass. It's sort of stuck in limbo because there's no clear answer on who voted and who voted for what. I read the comments in here about what happened and who didn't say things less as formal minutes and more of a request for a roll call vote. So it would be my suggestion at this time that I call a question on the motion that was made at the last meeting and that we just do a roll call vote. That's how I would look at it, and then if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, we figure out where we go from there. But as I look at this, that's how I thought I'd handle it, and if anybody wants to challenge my ruling, I can listen to arguments on that.
I don't want to challenge it. I just wonder if we're bringing up, I have questions about whether or not lodging tax funds can be used for this, because it's notoriously difficult to untangle what is and isn't marketing, and I remember, if I recall, it was hard to buy tangible things.
Yes, we don't want to provide
So-
false hope to the Lake
Yes.
Association that the lodging tax monies is.
Nor do I want to go ahead and say yes for, like taking away this $500 that we said more or less that the other entities could have last time. So is it possible that we could investigate that and come back to this at our next meeting?
Sure, it could be. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that we have not passed our final budget yet.
True.
So all of this stuff would be reconsidered at the time we pass our final budget at the first meeting in December or the second meeting in December, Jennifer?
First meeting in
First
December.
meeting. So at our next meeting is when we pass next year's budget, and that's when this would be finally determined. So here's my thought. If this passes, could it be reconsidered at the budget meeting? Yes. But if it doesn't, then certainly we can adjust and make motions on all of these amounts at that next meeting in December. So if the consensus is, well, this sort of passed, those organizations are expecting the 500, somebody could make a motion at that next meeting to do a one-time boost in funding for the upcoming year. So
There was a lot of confusion around this when it happened.
there was, and that's why I thought that the cleanest way now today is to simply recall the motion on a roll call vote.
So I think knowing that they hadn't known that this vote was going to take place would have made a difference for some of us.
Well, that, and if it was, like they didn't need to be at the meeting because it was part of discretionary.
Right, I mean, it's
Like,
nobody's, like, I'm not,
Yeah.
I understand why they weren't
Right.
asked, but we
Right, that's what I'm
didn't at
saying,
the time.
but I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
I'm the new kid. And,
I'm not, and I still didn't, so it's fine.
And as for lodging tax, if they potentially pay for advertising.
Yeah.
Vote yes, Donna. Just vote
I'm
yes.
just saying,
It's not as stingy as I think some people like to make it out to be. It
No.
can't be.
I just remember
The
being told
state,
that before.
that's what I'm talking about being stingy, by the way, is the state.
I don't know.
All right, well, a motion was made by Thielen to approve the funding request for the Historical Society, Green Roof Area Center, and Painesville Area Community Center, plus $500 each to the organization to come from the fireworks donation. That motion was seconded by Hersberg. I'm calling that for a roll call vote, and we'll just go in order of seniority. So, Neil, I guess I should say, any other discussion on it before
Yeah,
I
I'm-
call for the vote?
If we kill this motion, can we come up with a brand new one with, I really don't want to take away for all, I can't think of a word, one that comes, I mean, it's, I'm not an Indian giver. If we make a promise to, I'm not going to take away the promise we made. I'm not saying we're going to exclude fireworks, but I want to leave the amounts with the additional 500 for those three.
I think that would be an entirely appropriate request at our next meeting with the budget. I would not oppose that. Any other discussion? All right, taking the roll. Neil?
No.
Megan?
No.
Paul?
No.
Donna?
No.
It's a no for me. That means that motion does not carry. So in effect, the motion that was made at the last section is mooted out, it's done. So we will take this up, final requests at the budget meeting, or at the budget discussion at our next meeting, where members can make motions on final amounts as they deem appropriate. But going forward, the $1,500 that we've historically promised to the Lake Association would be included as a starting matter, and members can vote yea or nay from there. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Then, no other business there. Moving on then to hiring part-time snow removal drivers. I vote yes.
Yep.
Kind of need it today.
Tarek and Dan, you guys found us 5 people who want to drive? They're all qualified?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just correction there, I didn't find them. I think Jennifer and Dan found them.
I'm concerned about this Ludwig fella.
Yeah, he's shifty.
Just one note, Bill would be getting para because of the hours he puts in with his other position.
Sure.
The other people on the list are not para eligible.
Okay.
So just so you know that.
And I assume by the steps that he has less snow removal experience
That is correct.
on paper? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so then with that, we'd be looking for a motion to hire Dave Ampey, Kirk Athman, Adam Fuchs, Bill Ludwig, and Dominic Plato as part-time seasonal snow removal operators.
So moved.
Motion by Brick, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hersberg, heard it there first. Donna, gotta be quicker. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right. Tarek and Dan on hiring somebody to replace Jason.
Well, we had policies and procedures. We interviewed 5 candidates now, or 6? 5?
6.
6.
Okay, I'm
It's a
losing track.
long day.
It's a
6
long
candidates. We thought we had a really good candidate pool. And we thought there was more than one candidate that we would like to hire. And we know that we have someone that has indicated they're retiring sometime mid-year next year. And of course, a discussion was had with them on what do they think about bringing on someone early to help them train them in, et cetera. And they thought it was a good idea too. So, I mean, I think one of the options Dan would like to consider is potentially hiring 2 candidates. One will be as a trainee for the person who's planning on retiring next year. Obviously, you know, the plan is, or the original plan was to replace the employee who left. But maybe Dan, if you want to add a little bit more to that, but that kind of is the gist of it.
Yes, we were very fortunate. We got 6 people to interview. 5 we really liked. In this day's climate, to get that many qualified candidates is pretty exceptional. Everybody that interviewed thought we had some really great people to choose from. I'd hate to run it all back again and not come up with a pool like that because everybody was taken or chose a different path. I feel for the cost because we are actually saving, even when we replace the position that is currently open, we still have a gap in there that we're gonna save some dollars on that in the 25 budget. So, and we don't know for sure how long a person that has the option to retire will choose to stay. They may choose to go fishing earlier. So there's always that. Plus with being our first year snow plowing, wouldn't hurt to have an additional hand to help out with things. So I really encourage that we fill both these positions with all these options that are in front of us. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. And I also encourage that since we have excess funds in our AMPI funds coming in, just last month's surcharges would more than pay for that extra person.
And that's a whole other discussion.
You're gonna pay for a library if they
Well,
keep it up.
there are two
Going to
options
pay
for
for a
that.
library.
Huh?
They're going to pay for
That's
the
what I'm
library.
saying.
if they keep it up. Okay, department head is your recommendation, hire the extra person, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I agree.
You mean two, not one.
Hire the two, yeah, the extra, yeah. And I think that's the recommendation for policies and procedures as well, that's what we recommended. So I don't like option 3 on the administrator's recommendations. Somebody can make a motion and fight with me on it, but I don't like option 3. I think the cleanest bet would be to take the surplus out of the water and sewer budget and use that to pay for this person. That would be my recommendation, and leave the rest of that alone. I don't want to treat that as a slush fund. I want to be thoughtful and careful about where those funds are spent.
Yes.
I have a comment about that.
Yeah.
Okay, if we were to go with, number 2, transfer the money from the AMP excess surcharge, if at some point in time that surcharge goes away, then we can always rely on option 1 in the meantime.
Correct.
That was my thought.
But if it does go away and then we all of a sudden have an emergency project, then it'd be great to have that money to draw from too. I think I'd rather go with 1, just because we know it's there and we know, you know.
I think we are in a very blessed position to have healthy water and sewer funds and budgets. Just correct me if I'm wrong. Did I hear word on the street as you found some math errors and rates might be going down next year?
Some math errors and rates might be going.
Are the sewer rates?
We just raised the sewer.
Well, now you said it.
Well, now I said, it. Okay, so, all right, I don't remember what I had heard.
That was a couple years ago, maybe.
Was it a couple years ago? And I just took it as current? Nah,
We raised water and sewer, but not by much.
that's maybe, by not as much as we had initially planned, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Could be.
Okay. And Shannon has good plowing experience, if I recall from the interview.
Shannon is very experienced.
Yeah.
And he has mechanical background, which is also a big part of it, why he was really an interesting candidate to me with mechanical and plowing and some of the other things. Because we were looking for this second position to have that mechanical background. So that's very attractive.
Yeah, I will say from the Policies and Procedures Board, I fully support both of these candidates for being hired, and I would suggest that we do that.
I have one question. I would assume Shannon has licenses for a water operator,
He does.
so he's ready to go.
Yes.
He wouldn't, and probably has a CDL.
They all have CDLs.
They have CDL, oh, great. Well, then it can snow. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And that would be the difference in the steps. Shannon is more time in rank.
Yeah.
If we were in the Army.
So there's one correction, if I may, Sean. Jason should be a grade 5, step 3, and not step 1.
Shannon, you mean?
No, Jason on the eligibility list.
Oh, excuse me. Grade 5, step 3 on the eligibility list. Okay.
Whoever makes a motion, just be sure to make sure where the funds are coming from.
So with that, Is there a motion to be made?
I'll move to hire Stephen Hurley at grade 5, step 1, and Shannon Roaring at grade 5, step 3, and place Jason Johnson on the eligibility list at grade 5, step 3, with option 1 for the budget for the second position.
Before there's a second, I have a motion to hire Stephen Hurley at grade 5, step 1, Shannon Roaring at grade 5, step 3, and to place Jason Johnson on the eligibility list at grade 5, step 3, with the funds to come from the 2026 water budget with an estimated surplus of $22,845 and the 26 sewer budget with an estimated surplus there. Is that the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Before I call for a second, Jennifer, do we want to have a listed grade on the eligibility list just because experience may change if we ever need to call upon that list?
I think the step won't change,
Okay.
probably, within the next couple of years because of our union contract says step 3 is the highest you can hire at.
Sounds good. Is there a second then to that budget, or to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Hersberg. So motion by Brick as stated on the action sheet with option 1, second by Hersberg. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Thanks, everyone. Okay, then we've got our December and January meeting schedules at the end of the packet. Our month-end reports are on the city's website. With that, we stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.